Gacha games really hit gamers like crack hit the USA in the 1980s. 1 minute you're enjoying your innocent playthrough and then bam, crippling debt.
This is something no gamer should ever have to go through.
So, how do we avoid getting turned into whales and cash cows? Well, we have to know our enemy first and foremost. Gacha games have a rep for being pretty mid, with nothing notable outside of character design, especially the female variety. Granted, that's not all they offer. Take this game for example. I'm sure you've seen that 6-second ad that goes something like this.
For you, I never forget.
Now that song is a fucking banger, and the visuals are really great. It's really cool, right? Here's the gameplay for that game. Yeah, this is the average gacha game. Now, gacha games have definitely come a long way. Some have decided to focus on the 3D open world aspect, while some focus heavily on the gameplay and the elements that go along with that. And some are actually very sneaky, and you wouldn't be able to tell it's a gacha game unless somebody handed you a list of everything that makes a gacha game a gacha game. Hold on, one second. Gacha games usually encourage players to spend in-game currency to get items that help them progress through the game itself. Believe it or not, the melons are just the cherry on top. I can't believe I said that. Speaking of anime titties, what makes gambling so addictive? Gacha games and gambling are actually very similar. For example, putting in a special currency to get something of equal or greater value. Gambling basically takes your dopamine levels and turns them from a smooth, steady up and down graph to a roller coaster of emotions, which is really sharp. The more you gamble, the worse it gets. Gambling is definitely up there for the worst addictions. I would probably give it like a B tier, low A tier, because it really is destructive. It's really bad. You know, there's a saying, the house always wins. Sometimes it's better to cut your losses instead of trying to win it all back. The point I'm getting at is they're both very destructive if you let them control what you do and what you spend your money on.
Stop it. Get some help.
And now that we have a little bit of knowledge on what makes gacha games so addicting, let's start with one that people are all too familiar with. Genshin Impact is an open world RPG with a very in-depth system, which boils down to fire types melt ice types. The game actually got roasted when it first came out because of the similarities to it and Breath of the Wild.
Thankfully, nobody is named Mario in Genshin Impact, so Nintendo didn't really care.
If you ignore how rabid the fan base can be, you'll probably like it. It definitely does have a lot of charm and it feels like a lot of care went into this game. That is, until you look at the wish system. The average 10 roll costs 1600 Primo Gems, so you might be wondering, okay, a little bit more than the average gacha game, so what's so bad about it? Well, in Genshin Impact, not only are you rolling for anime girls, you're also rolling for items in the same pool. It's such a weird system because they do have a weapons only gacha, but they also have the character one, but that also has items, and it makes no sense.
Thankfully, Genshin has a pity system, which is what gacha games use to tell their players,
hey, you suck at getting lucky, so here's some points, go get what you want.
So you might be thinking, okay, this seems fair. How many rolls do I have to spend in order to activate the pity system?
You have to roll 90 times to get the pity 5-star. You know how many Primo Gems that is? That's over 15,000. To put it into perspective, 60 Primo Gems is 99 cents.
Genshin really doesn't give out that much in terms of Primo Gems.
Sure, there are events, but those are kind of few and far between. We all remember the Genshin Impact anniversary incident, right? Despite how shitty the gacha system is, it's actually really fun, and you could have a really good time while ignoring the gacha system. So yeah, that's why I use Ember. She's my favorite. Anyway, there's a reason people play Genshin to begin with. It has a decent story, likable characters, and it is very beautiful. I think if they reworked Genshin to not have a gacha system, I feel like a lot more people would enjoy it. As you'll come to find out, a lot of these gacha games are grind fests, and this is an RPG, so RPG plus gacha game just does not sit well. This game was definitely geared towards whales and the Sigma grind setters, so it's not that easy to get sucked into the gacha gambling hole.
But if you avoid the weird tier lists, you'll be fine. Okay, you know what? The McDonald's one gets a pass.
Battle Cats is one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had. You will lead an army of cats as they take over the world, then space, and then the galaxy. And the way you help them take over is by paying to spawn the little cats and making them fight things like dogs, elephants, bears, cyclones, gods, you name it, you probably had to fight it. This game is more in-depth than you realize. For example, some enemies are red, and some of your units are really strong against red. But for reals, it's actually really hard and requires strategic team building. Each strategy must be meticulously crafted. You need proper meat shielding, proper DPS. Some cats have freeze abilities or even knockback abilities. Some can survive a deadly hit, and there's so many cats and so many abilities, and the possibilities are endless. Or you can just roll the gacha and get a Uber unit. That works too. For the low cost of 1500 cat food, you get 11 rolls. However, you must also consider that there are no guarantees. You could just get all rare cats and no Ubers. Battle Cats actually has a system where you could get golden tickets, and if you get 10 of those, that's basically a 10 roll for free. Ultimately, every unit you get in the gacha system is usable in some way, shape, or form. Plus, have you seen some of these cats? They're adorable. Now, you might be thinking, but Camo, the only pussy I see on screen right now are the cats. Where are the waifus? I'm so glad you asked, but I'm not glad that I had to read that out loud.
There's actually a banner dedicated to waifus, believe it or not. So if you can take the hit to your dignity, then by all means, go for it.
Besides the women, there are collabs with lots of things, such as Street Fighter, Hatsune Miku, Godzilla. Oh yeah, Evangelion has a collab, by the way. That's just crazy. Overall, this game's way better than Genshin in my opinion. As an added bonus, you could actually take this game out in public and play it in front of people. Wow! That's just unheard of. Thank you, Battle Cats. I really appreciate it.
Meow, I'm a fucking battle cat.
Girls Frontline asks one of the biggest questions society has had for years. What if we turned guns into anime girls? Yeah, it's about to get crazy. Girls Frontline has you, the commander, lead these gun girls into a fight against these evil robot ladies who are trying to take over what's left of this world. It's up to you to lead your squads to victory.
What else? Oh yeah.
Characters die off constantly, memories are erased, families are separated, some characters have PTSD, yeah, I can go on. Once you get over the shock from the GFL lore, you have two gacha systems. You basically throw a bunch of parts into a machine, wait a few hours, and then bam, brand new waifu unlocked. That's rifle waifu for short. But that is merely the appetizer. Now that you have all these waifus, they need a home, and their dorm is just so empty. And this is where the token gacha comes in. For the low price of 100 tokens, you can spin to win 10 pieces of furniture. And if you're lucky, you might just win a special costume from one of your characters. Now this one's actually worse than the first one I mentioned because nobody's actually going into this role and going, oh boy, I hope I get the 5-star furniture. No. You want the costumes, and the costumes have such horrible pull rates, like it's really hard. Girls Frontline has some of the most out there designs. This doesn't even look tactical. What's the point? Despite this fact, I would have to say Girls Frontline is like a gateway gacha game, you know? If this is the gateway gacha game, then Azur Lane is probably just like crack or something. Take what I said about Girls Frontline and their gun waifus and turn those things into boat waifus, and you have Azur Lane. Azur Lane once again follows you, the commander, leading these big bosom battleships to victory through any means necessary, especially war crimes. And if you thought explaining Girls Frontline to your friends would be bad, good luck with this one. This game basically jump scares you with boobs every chance it gets. Loading screens, cutscenes, everything and anything. But I mean, I'm sure at some point the Ooga Booga brain instinct takes over, and before you know it, the ship has a maid dress on it. While this game doesn't have nearly as edgy of a story as Girls Frontline, it has a decent story that appeals to a broader audience, if you get what I'm saying. Just like Girls Frontline, the gacha system is about the same, you know, same-ish rates and whatnot, but people have found Azur Lane to be way more forgiving and more generous. I pulled over 40 units in like the first half hour, and I was already stacked. Thankfully, you only have to worry about gold, and you don't really have to worry about 4 things like in Girls Frontline. They really do care about you. They want you to play. Fun fact about some of the units in the game, if you look closely, you could find a ship that represents your state or province. For example, California, Ohio, and I don't know. Some of them are just ships, apparently. I don't know. The gameplay is also very different from GFL, with an emphasis on actually pressing buttons and moving your units around, though it does retain the grindiness that GFL had, if not even more so. If you really want to try out Azur Lane or GFL, here's a quick little tip. Simply download the app, then hide the app. Now, nobody will have to know that you have a crippling gacha addiction, and you don't have to feel guilty for having it on your phone. And if you really think you could play either of these games without spending money, go for it. Though it is highly addictive, and I've almost caved in a couple of times, so you have been warned. Yeah, I snuck Roblox on here. I'll keep it short, but there are a lot of games on Roblox that have features of gacha games, believe it or not. Now, I use the term gacha game a little bit loosely because ultimately it just turns into gambling for kids. One of the worst offenders being Pet Simulator X, where you just walk around, click things, then spin a wheel and try to get a pet you like. And honestly, I don't like it.
I don't expect a little kid to go and play Peak like Garden Warfare over this game, and I get it. It's colorful, it's playful, but I don't think promoting a game about gambling is a good thing for kids, you know? So what I'm saying is, don't waste your time playing these games that only exist to make money off of you. Go play Peak like Garden Warfare instead. Clash Royale is a game where you drag and drop troops and watch them fight each other to the death. Now, many might not know this, but it's actually a gacha game, believe it or not.
Wait, is Clash Royale really a gacha game? I mean, it really doesn't have any anime girls, right? Technically, using what we know about gacha games, we could also infer that Clash Royale is a gacha game. And I mean, let's be real, some of these units are just great. I mean, god damn, look at that thing. The chess system in Clash Royale actually does function like a gacha, believe it or not. You're supposed to get these cards and units and level them up to become stronger as you become stronger as well. So technically, yeah, it is a gacha game, but this doesn't mean to go around saying that games like Overwatch are a gacha game simply because they have a loot box system. And this is because loot boxes aren't the focal point of progression. Unless you're getting skill points to level up Diva every time you open a loot box, it's not a gacha game. Like I said in Clash Royale, cards and treasure chests are the means to progress. So there you go. Clash Royale is really one of the only gacha games that doesn't really have that anime art style, and they still have that anime trailer, which is pretty cool, I gotta say. We went over a ton of gacha games and how they can squeeze every little cent out of you, but how can we enjoy them responsibly? Well, thankfully, I, Mr. Zombie, have a couple of ideas. Number one, avoid buying currency. This is the worst thing you could spend money on in a gacha game or any game really. Usually when you buy currency, it's because you need that extra little hit and that extra roll to see if you get the 5-star Uber girl thing, and you don't really need that. Maybe there's like a candy cane sword that's like $1 or something, I don't know, just an example. And every time you log in, you'll always have that item in your inventory. Something that you can still have and say, look it, guys, I bought this thing. Isn't it so cool? Versus, oh, I spent all my money. Oh, I spent all my primo gems. No! Please, just don't do it. I'm begging you, please. And my final tip is to go outside. I don't want to see anybody else end up like that guy on Reddit that spent $800 in an hour, because that is just horrible to hear about. You owe it to yourself to go outside. Alright, bro science, did you know that going outside gives you vitamin D, which is actually really good for you and makes you feel happier? Just going outside for like 10 to 20 minutes a day will make you feel way happier than if you just stayed inside all day. Who knew? Now, I will admit, $1 here and there isn't a big deal, you know? Even like $5, $10, that's fine. As long as you have your best interests in mind. Try to avoid the impulse purchases as much as you can. All I ask is that you don't rip yourself off and you maximize the potential to have fun. So enjoy responsibly, Horde. Woo! Oh!
Hey, post-editing Camo here. So I was supposed to edit this section and put it right before the section you just watched, yeah. But the thing is, Girl Cafe Gun is shutting down in May of 2023, and I found out in one of the worst ways imaginable. I was sitting in a Discord call, and I decided to go get footage for this game as it was the last part of this video that I needed to complete. I tried downloading it, it wouldn't let me, and I went on to Twitter to see what the official account said, and yeah, they said it was shutting down, and I was heartbroken for like a day, and it took me a while to finish recording everything. And then I sat down and I was gathering more footage for Girl Cafe Gun, like all the footage I could find. And then I realized something. I actually saved a backup of my data because that's how much I enjoyed this game. Mudahar would be so proud of me because I pulled out the inner game preservationist inside of me and I was able to re-download it onto my phone and gather footage for it, which is what you're watching right now. But this game is pretty cool besides all the issues. This was without a doubt probably my favorite gacha game because I would consistently play it. I would always have it AFK grinding right next to me while I was doing homework and stuff. I was invested. There was so many cool things about it. It was a bullet hell, like a 3D one too, which was pretty cool. But above everything else, my favorite part was that you gotta run a restaurant. it was like a hybrid game. You would run a restaurant and you would also go and kill these crystal things, and it was really cool. I really liked it, and I probably would have recommended this one to you above everything else, but unfortunately it's shutting down. So I just wanted to say thank you, Girl Cafe Gun, for all of the enjoyment you gave me. Yeah, just thank you. It was a really good game, but unfortunately it's Jover, you know? Gotta move on. Anyways, Horde, just remember to enjoy what you play, you know? Now, I don't really play games as much as I used to, but every once in a while, I'll re-download one of these games and remember why I played it so much in high school. They're all really fun, and I'm grateful that I got to experience all these games at least a little bit. So, take care, Horde. Have a good day. Brains. Oh, fuck, I forgot about Mario Kart Tour. Yeah, it's mid now. It's not a gacha game anymore, but now it just sucks.